How to make a simple adjustable belt. So these are the materials that you will need. First, you'll need your buckle and tri-glider. I am using 7 by 3.5 centimeter buckle, and you can see which side is the top by the little ridges on this bar here, and a 3.3 by 2.5 centimeter tri-glide. The middle line is scored on the top half of your tri-glide. Next, you'll need your nylon webbing. I'm using black for this, and it is 1 inch wide. I will put where you can get these materials in the description of this video. Next, you will need sewing thread. I use black for the black nylon webbing to match it, fabric scissors to cut your belt material, and your thread. You can use many different colors of belt material. I also have white. You'll need a lighter and fabric clips. Last of all, you'll need your sewing machine. You can also do this by hand. I'm using a straight line stitch. Here are my machine settings, but it really is down to what machine you have. I'm using a roller foot, universal needle, and my up and bottom thread is black. Firstly, you'll need to measure out your belt. I'm using the material clips here. I like these as they're very simple to attach and remove. You can also use fabric pins if you like. Now to measure out your belt. To do this, wrap it around your waist and hold your hand out and make a triangle with the material. You want to cut around where your fingertips are, so you have enough material to spare. You don't want this to be exactly to your waist measurement. You need extra. Now we would like to seal the ends of the nylon webbing, as they fray and may fall apart if you don't. We do this by melting the end of the fabric by hovering the lighter just a little bit away from the end of the webbing. You can see it's melted it in place, so it's not going anywhere, it's not fraying. We start by adding the tri-glider. Make sure the scores in the middle bar are facing upwards towards you. We want to thread up over that scored bar and then back down through the other side. It should look like this. Next, we will take the buckle. You can see which side is the top for this by the scored line facing upward. It will be on the smooth area, not the forked one. We'll put it up and over that scored line. This scored line adds resistance to your belt, so it doesn't slip around when you're wearing it. You want to pull your tri-glider and your webbing through the buckle until you have a nice amount spare. Now you want to push up the material going through your tri-glider to make this little loop so that we have room to take the tail of the webbing and thread it up just as we did in the first step and over and down through the other side, like so. We will now take our fabric clips and clip these bits back in on themselves. This is to hold them down as we're going to sew this later. Make sure you have not clipped it to the top belt part. You want to have this little loop free on the underneath. So what we don't want is the clip here. We want it attached to this loop. For the other side of the belt, holding your buckle facing upwards again, we will thread the end of the belt down and around, and then we will clip this end of the belt as well to sew later. You want to straighten out your belt, make sure there's no twists, make sure it's not tangled and it's all facing the correct direction before you start sewing. Here are the lines for where you will sew on each end. Now to begin sewing, we will sew 2 lines. You can also sew across if you prefer this method of securing your belt. I run forward, reverse, and that is good enough. Lift up, move it a little bit over, then place your needle back and repeat this process of sewing up and down to really secure your belt. Here is what the sewing should look like. It's fine if it's not perfect straight lines, but it's nice and secure. Now for the other end, with the tri-glider, you're going to lift up your belt so you can see the area you have clipped. And we're going to do the exact same, sew 2 lines. Make sure you're not sewing through all 3 pieces of the belt. So I've sewn the first line, and then sew the second line, making sure to go over it twice so it's nice and secure. Once complete, you will have this loop that's separate from the top portion of the belt. Now to tidy up your belt, we're going to use our scissors and cut these little bits of thread that are sticking out. Make sure just to cut these and not to cut the stitching, as we want to keep it nice and secure so it does not break during use. This guide is perfect for those doing cosplay tail making. It is actually for my cosplay guides on my Etsy store, Fennec Femme on Etsy. You can find tail making guides, and these are perfect to attach cosplay tails to, but also very useful for other outfits and just simple belts. Once finished, it should look like this, nice and tidy. You can easily adjust it by pulling the top section through the tri-glider.